presence today bespeaks a million words, and I'm flattered on behalf of the community sponsorship I get, and I know I speak on behalf of Russ, and we'll have an opportunity to speak further. A thank you and a welcome. Second major announcement is jackets off. For those who feel they have to be so formal that they keep their jackets on, don't, because I'm the next one to take them off. This time I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce a few special guests we have here today. Those are folks from the family of Russ Diethrick. And if I could, and if they could stand up, I'm not sure most of us had a chance to say hello as I mention their name. Russ's sister and brother-in-law, Doris and Clarence Underwood. And their daughter and son-in-law, Ellen and Mike Mascara. They brought along two of their lovely children, Evelyn and Amanda. Then we have here Russ's nephew's wife, Sharon Underwood. Sharon? Sharon's husband has got the tough duty. He's in the service, and he's in Hawaii right now. They're also joined by their daughter, Jennifer. Jennifer? Then we have, for those who really don't know, Russ is married. This There's a lot of things we learned putting this together tonight. And maybe introduce her, June Christensen Diethrick. That was the only way I could use as a segue to introduce the other people here. June's sister is May Lyon. May. And their three daughters, and Holly. And we have the matriarch of the Diethrick family. This is Amanda Josephson. This is Russ's aunt. And her daughter, Aldine Francesco. I got to tell you, I've heard the first disappointment of the evening already. Dorothy Brooks came up and she goes, "Where's the piano? Bonnie, we didn't get a piano." Apparently tradition holds that at every Rotary meeting and every time there's a senior citizens event, Dorothy Brooks plays for Russ Misty. And she wanted to do that specifically tonight for Russ. Russ, we can't pull it off unless somebody has a piano in the car. So Dorothy, wherever you are, thank you for your thought. Please. Thank you. Now, prior to commencement of the meal, if we could have an invocation. Father Tia from the St. James Roman Catholic Church will provide us with the invocation. Father Tia.
It is really a great honor and pleasure to be part of this celebration tonight. Words, even words spoken eloquently, cannot express the caliber of a man like Russ Diethrick, the public servant whom we honor today. In Matthew 5, Jesus calls us to be the light of the world, not to hide our talents as a light hidden under a bushel basket, but to use our talents as a light in darkness placed high to benefit all. Russ, for 30 years as a public servant, has been a premier example of giving himself totally to his fellow man, loving and caring for the needs of others, and at the same time loved by those he served, to which this gathering clearly testifies. Certainly tonight we do not celebrate the end of this service, but a new direction as Russ moves into another area of service. People of Russ's caliber do not ever stop serving. I quote from the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 6, verses 10-12, which accurately fits this occasion. And I quote, "God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him by your service, past and present, to his people." And so as we ask God's blessing upon Russ and this occasion, let us also pray that Russ's caring and loving example may touch all of us, that together we may continue to make Jamestown and Chautauqua County a wonderful place in which to live and grow, to work and pray, to play and relax. And so, Russ, may Almighty God continue to bless you and to bless us through you. May he bless our celebration tonight, all these, your family and friends, our time together, and the food that we will enjoy. We ask this blessing also in the name of his Son, and through his Holy Spirit, the Spirit of love. Amen.
Thank you, Father Teal. Just the beginning of a lot of eloquent words. Now enjoy your eating, and in about 20 minutes we'll start the program. Thank you very much up there. I'd like to thank those, and there were an awful lot of people, who made tonight's program possible. An awful lot of effort went into this, and it was just a thrill for yours truly to see how there was absolutely no question when you asked people if they would participate in tonight's activities. They just simply stumbled over themselves to do so. And I'd like to recognize a few of them now. Jan's Catering, who made this dinner possible tonight, especially Ann and Jerry and the staff, thank you very much for tonight's dinner. Jones Bakery, and if you have not had an opportunity to see, this cake here is an extraordinary piece of art. I'd like to thank specifically Candy, Robin, and Bonnie, who made this all possible. Thank you very much. Some additional people that I'd like to thank: JB Liquors, Sam Consiglio, Tom Trusso, Jamestown Community College, who made this facilities available, specifically Athletic Director Rich Hopkins and Norman Carlson, Lakewood Grand Rental, Gary and Joe Poulter, On Cable, WJTN, WKSN, Hanson Signs, Gina Versa, Gertens, Mark Anderson. You guys folks must behave. This is all on videotape. So as you're going crazy tonight, know that it will be recorded for public. Stadium Supplies, Inc. Awful lot of volunteers who are related to the Babe Ruth World Series Committee and all the various organizations. Done a tremendous job. Specifically, two people who were the brainchild of all of this, Bonnie Majors and Chuck D'Angelo. I'd like to give a personal thank you to, because they've done a magnificent job. And for those who I'm going to be embarrassed that I missed, the community at large. So thank yourself very much. When the idea of a community event for Russ Diethrick was hatched by Bonnie and Chuck, they asked me if I was interested and would I like to involve myself. I said, sure, why not? After all, Russ Diethrick was the first man that ever interviewed me for a job. He was the first man to ever hire me for a summer job. He was the first person I ever asked for a reference when I went to college. Somebody had to write some references, and Russ was number one on my list. He was also the first person to tell me it was okay when I was 12 years old not to have found an Easter egg during the Easter egg hunt. Especially when I told him this was the 8th year in a row I had not found one. Now, this guy's had an impact on my life. So for that, I'm grateful. I'm delighted. Then they laid the real bombshell on me. Chuck looked at me and said, Greg, you're the MC for tonight. What? The MC for the master of ceremonies, Russ Diethrick? Impossible. You can't do that. This guy has all the right words at the right times and the right opportunities. It's just a responsibility which I could not handle. I felt sort of like, all right, you baseball trivia nuts. Babe Dahlgren. Babe Dahlgren. Where does he fit into the scheme of things? Babe Dahlgren was the New York Yankees first baseman who followed Lou Gehrig after he played 2,130 games. Babe Dahlgren goes down in history as this little-known guy who followed this premier ball player. That's kind of like how I feel tonight. The MC for Russ Diethrick's event. Then I sat down, all right, I got over the threshold. It's time for me to be the master of ceremony. What kind of program we're going to have? Is it going to be a toast or a roast? So I asked Bonnie point blank. I said, do we have any dirt on this guy? And we looked high and low for something. Bonnie finally came up with the conclusion that, well, he does occasionally bring garbage into the office. I guess that's dirt. We could use that. I said, no, that's not the kind of stuff I'm looking for. He must have something in his back. We couldn't come up with anything, Russ. You're at ease tonight because it will soon, no doubt, be just a toast. Biggest concern is, who is this guy? How could this guy be so good? We all have had the opportunity in some form or fashion to have our paths cross Russ. And that's why we're here tonight. But I thought it'd be helpful for at least a moment to give you a little bit of background of Russ, the picture, the bigger picture. So I asked Bonnie for a resume. So she dutifully gave me a resume. And it was all of 7.5 pages of what this guy has done, and she remarked it's only a partial resume. I'd hate to see the whole thing. But anyways, I think it's probably, I will not read the whole resume. I'll not even read half the resume. But perhaps some of the highlights to put into a perspective what this guy has meant to Jamestown in various manners. Some statistics. He was born October 9th, 1934. Quickly, how old is he? I already told you earlier the big announcement, he's married to June. As you know, he was has been with the city of Jamestown since 1958 and has been the director of recreation from 1964 through 1998. Did you know that he won the National Conference of Christian Jews Golden Achievement Medallion in 1986? Did you know he was inducted into the Chicago Sports Hall of Fame in 1982? Were you aware that in 1977 he was the Boss of the Year elected by the New York State Division of National Secretaries? That in 1976 King Carl Gustaf of Sweden gave him a special award. He was awarded the Outstanding Educator in America. He received the Brotherhood Citation of the National Conference of Christians and Jews. He was the Sports Personality of the Year of the St. John's Holy Name Society back in 1963. He's been the past president of a variety of associations. Some of them There's 4 pages worth. 100 member club, the Christmas Friendship Club, and board members of the Chautauqua County Council on Alcoholism, Jamestown Meals on Wheels, Beautification and Ecology Committee, Chautauqua Institution 55+ Weekend Planning Committee, and on and on and on. But we know his real love is baseball. And for years, he was involved with the Jamestown Furniture City Baseball as a director and a president. For those who had an opportunity to look along the side wall earlier, you may have seen his autograph on a few checks. Russ, believe me when I tell you, being a sports nut myself, but for Russ, we would not have professional baseball in Jamestown, New York. He not only was an active solicitor of major league clubs bringing in minor league franchises into Jamestown, but there was a time when, in fact, the franchise was owned by a local corporation, and at the end of the year, when things got tough and somebody had to balance the budget, there was a guy like Russ Diethrick there. Utterly phenomenal. You guys would never know this. Russ would never share that with you. He's a humble guy, but a guy who makes things happen. More about that later. As you know, he's been actively involved in Babe Ruth, as obviously that's his new job. But prior to that, he was a host president for a variety of series committees. As you can see in my back here, various banners. Again, this is in Jamestown because of what Russ has meant to Babe Ruth. We're blessed. We're blessed. Not only is the founder, but the past president of the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame. I'm personally gratified as the president of the Chautauqua Region Community Foundation that I have as a board member, Russ Diethrick. We're thrilled to have a guy like Russ in our presence. And that's some of the cold, hard facts about Russ Diethrick. For those who want to look, there's 7 pages full of those items. Now let's talk about the human side of Russ Diethrick. Many of who have come in contact with Russ have approached me and wanted to talk about Russ tonight. I've had the difficult job of telling various folks that I appreciate your willingness, desire to speak, but I've had to say no. And I'm overwhelmed with the response that we've had, Russ, for the people who want to step forward and just say thank you. But we do have a few. We do have a few, and I'm delighted that many folks have had the opportunity to speak to you, Russ, about their contacts with you. I've warned these folks, because there's a number of them, and they're looking at me now with growls on their face. They're here to speak for no more than 2 minutes. Otherwise, the mic goes off. I also had to remind them of the old adage that the mind can absorb only what the rear can endure. So with that, I'm going to ask Ray Engel to step forward. And while Ray is coming forward, I'd like to read one of a number of letters that we received, which have all been compiled and will be put as part of a booklet together with the guest list that you all signed when you came in, and will be presented to Russ at the end of the dinner as a memento of tonight's special event. This is a letter addressed to Russ. I am delighted to join with your many friends and colleagues in recognizing your years of extraordinary community service. Your distinguished community leadership and outstanding record of civic participation deserve great praise. And I am pleased to join with all of those who have gathered this evening to salute and thank you. You are one of a kind, and Jamestown has been enriched by your many contributions. I shall always recall with pride our friendship beginning with playing baseball at Lincoln Field and your commitment to the community during my tenure as mayor. May you enjoy continued success with the Babe Ruth World Series organization and all your future endeavors. Best wishes, Lieutenant Governor Stephen Lundy. Now I'd like to introduce Ray Engel. Ray, a longtime friend of Jamestown and very active in the Babe Ruth. In fact, Babe Ruth League president from 69 through 77. And a former neighbor, Ray Engel.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you very much, Greg. You might wonder why the order of speakers is as it is. It's alphabetical. I talked to him about that, and that's why I'm first. Sue and I really welcome the opportunity to come back here and see so many of our friends, and it's especially a pleasure for us to have Sue's mom and dad with us because they can see a lot of their friends. But we're here to talk about Russ. And as I entered, I ran into a couple of fellows I used to play baseball with when I was with the Steel Partition Bombers, Don Nagel and Tom Hurst and Raj Dubois, and they remind me of the fact that when Russ was a left-handed pitcher with MRC, his slow fastball couldn't break a pane of glass. He didn't remain a pitcher very long, as you well know, because he became involved in city affairs later than that. Russ and I go back to the early 50s when we became acquainted through some form of sports or social activities. And our friendship, I feel, continues up to this day, and I'm sure will continue for many years to come. We certainly are pleased and proud of the fact that he and June finally got together, and we congratulate them for that. It's been a long time coming. The 2 minutes will be up shortly, but it's necessary for you to at least know that all of the things Russ does are not necessarily good. Now, you may have searched and searched and searched for something, but some of these are hidden in the secrets of his friends. It seems that when Russ and I were deeply involved with the Jamestown Falcons and with the Babe Ruth program here in Western New York, we were working our way toward our first, we'll call it, tournament in Jamestown. And as the winter wore on, beginning in January and February, we became a little bit bored because our meetings were not few and not very many, I should say. And so Russ said to me one day, he said, you know, I think that there's a tremendous restaurant down in Geneva, New York, and we ought to go down there for a Babe Ruth meeting. And I said, well, gee, Russ, that sounds like an awful lot of fun, but, you know, I don't feel like driving. It's winter and it's snowy. He said, I have just the guy who will do it. He said, he'll remain nameless at this evening's affair, but he said, we'll tell him we're going to a meeting. And we did. And we arranged to leave on a Sunday morning, and we drove from Jamestown to Geneva in a very snowy morning. We arrived in Geneva, and wouldn't you believe it, there was a telegram waiting for us that canceled the Babe Ruth meeting. We didn't fess up until our trip home to this fella, and now it was snowing a little harder, you know, along that thruway it does snow a little harder. We didn't fess up until the way home that it was planned all the way. Russ and I wanted a good prime rib buffet. And the only way we could get it was to get to Geneva, and we needed a driver. And so Russ was the guy who organized and instrumented that one. Again, it's a privilege and a pleasure for us to be among you again. We welcome this opportunity to see so many of our friends. We wish you the very best in the future with all of your Babe Ruth endeavors, and certainly good luck in the next World Series. Thank you.
So, awful lot of things are going to be going on, and so that you all can see Russ and June's reactions, may I ask you the folks that come up here? Thank you. Sure. Dorothy, you always have the floor. Thank you very much. Bill, you like to come up? Bill Borst?
It's respect and affection that I am presenting this plaque to Russ Diethrick on this August 31st, 1991, in appreciation and gratitude for his 33 years of cooperation and musical contributions to the people of the Jamestown area, from the Dixiecrats Orchestra.
Thank you, Dr. B.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Charles Sinatra, here on behalf of the World Series of Cars.
Russ?
I don't know what alphabet Ray Engel's using tonight, but ABS isn't like anything I've ever learned. I'm going to talk a little bit about the World Series of Cars tonight. This is a pet project of the Chautauqua Lake Region Antique Auto Club and Russ Diethrick. About 10 years ago, this all came together when we decided that we would put on a car show in Jamestown, and Russ Diethrick thought the idea was excellent, so we all sat down and talked, and through his position with the city and with the cooperation of the mayor and the city council, we began the World Series of Cars. It got its name, the World Series of Cars, because we used the profits of the World Series car show for the World Series of Babe Ruth. It pays in part for the franchise for bringing the children here, which is very expensive. In case anybody doesn't realize that it costs about $40,000 per franchise to bring these World Series here. This has kind of a vehicle that a lot of people don't think about, and a very civic type thing. We've lost a lot of our manufacturing base in Jamestown, so we have to bring money in other ways. This World Series brings in $350,000 to $400,000 every time they come into town. The World Series of Cars, to this day, has provided about $70,000 of the monies to bring the franchise in. And this was largely in part to Russ's doings. He still works on the committee with us as the secretary and one of the chairmen, and gets an awful lot of work done. Our auto club in part has gained from this, because through this association, Russell has become kind of enchanted with antique cars and is now a member of our group and an owner of antique cars, so we've all benefited. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Now I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Denny Lundberg, who is presently the president of the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame, Inc. Denny?
What a great attendance tonight on behalf of Russ. Obviously, you can stand up here all night long and talk and talk and talk about this guy right here, but I'm going to address the Sports Hall of Fame. 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, the Sports Hall of Fame did not exist. This man over here founded the Sports Hall of Fame, Chautauqua County Sports Hall of Fame. It is a highly visible and recognized, it's highly visible and recognized by people throughout Chautauqua County. The inductees are truly honored, and their families are, and derive a lot of joy from what has happened with the Sports Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame and its museum and the sports memorabilia continue to grow and draw interest from all the county. He is not only the founder, but he's the driving force and the catalyst for its continued growth and stability. He inspires the board of directors to work together and go forward with focus and attention and direction. How can the board of directors or anyone in this community ever say no to Russ Diethrick? He has never heard of the word no. It is not in Russ Diethrick's dictionary. Proved the quality of life for all citizens in this community and this area. What a better world it would be if it were full of Russ Diethricks. He's touched countless lives, and I'm happy and proud to be one of them. On behalf of the Sports Hall of Fame, I extend my heartfelt thanks to him and wishes him the very best now and forevermore. This guy is so compassionate. My wife is undergoing an illness, and Russ comes and sees me and talks to me and is so compassionate I cannot believe what this guy, he's got so many things on his mind, but he can find time for everybody. That's what Russ Diethrick is all about. He's a great person. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and just one little thing, because I understand some people are going to roast this guy tonight, and I can't believe how you can roast Russ. But he says, how did I get into the Hall of Fame? Probably because opposing batters' batting averages went up dramatically when I pitched against them. That's not really true. He's a great guy, and we wish him the very best. He's done an awful lot, as we all well know, in his community. Thank you.
Thanks, Denny. I'd like to introduce Lou Lombardo, President of the Jamestown City Council. Lou?
Thanks, Greg. It's truly an honor to be allowed 5 or 6 minutes to speak. One guy only took 30 seconds. I figured I could take his time. But I want Ray Engel to stand up and tell the truth. When he took that trip to Geneva, was Russ on company time? Was he on city time or not? That's never mind. Okay. Nobody in their right mind would roast Russ Diethrick, and neither am I. A lot of people don't realize it, and I just found out about it when I was talking to Russ as I come in, that Russ and I got involved in Parks and Recreation in exactly the same year, 1958. He started as the assistant director, and I tried out for Little League that year. I didn't make it, but he did. He went on, of course, to establish himself in the community as with a distinguished career, and that was my highlight. I've gone downhill ever since, trying out for Little League when I was 11, but I have had the opportunity of participating in many of the sports leagues that Russ organized and administered, and I've had the chance to go out of town to play in tournaments, and I've had the chance to have talk to people that have come into the town to play softball tournaments. And there isn't a person that hasn't come to Jamestown that said that this is the best city as far as fields, maintenance of fields and the number of fields and the appearance that they've ever been in. And of course, College Stadium is another tribute to Russ, because through him and through his guidance and the Parks and Recreation Commission, we were able to persuade the city to spend the money to invest in College Stadium. So he's truly been an inspiration. I really didn't get to know Russ, though, until 1974 when I got on the council and I was assigned to the Parks and Recreation Commission. And it was my choice. I was involved in sports, and that's when I really got to know Russ Diethrick. And he, like I say, he's been a role model as far as I'm concerned. He's never said no to anybody. When you talk about Mr. Toastmaster or Mr. MC, I don't know of anybody that's ever been turned down by Russ Diethrick. And he truly, truly is Mr. Jamestown #1 citizen. I have a couple of things that I want to present to Russ tonight. First of all, when you get to be our age, guys get to be our age, we like to maintain a distinguished look. And by that I mean that you like to let the sideburns get a little gray around the temples. Russ never had that chance. It's my understanding that Russ was born with white hair. Not gray, white hair. But because we want to have Russ have that opportunity, even though we know he's a distinguished person, I thought we could give him this black shoe polish and just keep the right around the temples, gray. Okay. And when Greg started talking, I thought he'd give this one away, but when he talked to Bonnie and they come up, couldn't find any dirt on him, I agreed with him, and so we thought we'd give him this bottle of Mr. Clean, because that's what he is, Mr. Clean. So if you get any shoe polish on your fingers, you could use that. But seriously, folks, we had the opportunity, the council did, the city council last Monday to, in a very small way, honor Russ and to tell him how much we appreciated him. And I'd like to read the resolution that I read at Monday night's meeting and then present it to Russ, because like I said, it's just a small token of our appreciation for Russ and for everything that he's done for the city to make our jobs a whole lot easier. It says, whereas only a handful of those who have lived and worked in the city of Jamestown, New York, have left such clear footprints as to make their passage unmistakable, and whereas the footprints of another individual have vividly manifested themselves in the public eye, bringing new meaning to the old observation that when a man assumes a public trust, he should consider himself public property. And whereas for over 30 years, Russell E. Diethrick, Jr. worked tirelessly and unselfishly to improve the quality of life for all citizens in this community, and as Director of Parks and Recreation was indeed public property in its highest sense. And whereas the ball fields of our parks, the trees of our neighborhoods, the festivals and the parades and the special events in our city all whisper his name and bear the stamp of his unique influence. And whereas if achievement is a bondage, obliging one to a higher achievement, no one fulfilled that obligation better than Russell E. Diethrick, Jr. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Jamestown hereby extends its heartfelt thanks to Russell E. Diethrick, Jr. on behalf of all residents of the community, and salutes him as a quintessential model of a public servant. And be it further resolved that future generations are urged to follow his footsteps, leading ever further down the path to an enlightened community. Russ, thank you very much.
Lou, what's quintessential mean? Nicely done.
I didn't have to say it.
I'd like to introduce now Dan Ross. Dan Ross has speak to us about kind of a personal experience he had with Russ.
Good evening. There's not too much I can't say about Russ. He was my best man at my wedding. I am involved with the sports memorabilia auction along with several other members in this room. Greg, for one, Todd Patrick, Russ. We raise money to help children who have been on drugs or alcohol at the WCA Jones Hill Project. So all I want to say is thanks. We love you, Russ. Enjoy the rest of your life.
Thanks, Dan. And along those lines, as you know, Russ is a big baseball card freak. He collects them and collects them. And a couple of dealers in the area put together a kind of a token thank you in the form of a box of goodies. And this is such a box that will at least keep him busy for half an hour sorting through them. And I do know at least a couple of these have a Jamestown relationship. One is a card of Irv Norn, as you know, was born in Jamestown, and one is of Nellie Fox, which of course played in Jamestown. So Russ, on behalf of some friends of yours.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now here, I'm going to introduce a guy now that I have to once again underscore 2 to 3 minutes, no more. Clyde Card. Clyde, on behalf of the hockey.
Thanks, Greg, but as you know, anybody associated with any law firm in Jamestown never can go only 2 minutes. I'm happy we're doing this tonight. I'm happy we're doing it because Russ is here. Too many times I've thought about people we've honored who aren't here. And I'm happy that Russ is here so that he can appreciate this and appreciate you. And with that in mind, Greg, when you talked about Russ being your job interview for the first time, you're not alone. I remember 30 years ago going to the basement of where the Board of Public Education is now, having an interview for the City Parks and Recreation summer playgrounds. And I thought, who is this old guy? And the years have been kind to you, Russ. You're still the same. I coach soccer, I coach baseball, I have Mount Moriah. Once in a while I get lucky and I get an all-star team. But I'm here to talk about another sport, ice hockey. And I'm going to read you the letter that's in the packet that Russ is receiving tonight. 1991 President's Award to Russell E. Diethrick. Russ, the President's Award is given by Lakers hockey only to someone who has shown outstanding dedication, concern, and made exceptional contributions to youth sports in general and Lakers hockey in particular. Your concern and assistance to our organization spans our history. You were always there to help us find a new home, ranging from various locations, such as the old ice plant and the Allen Park outdoor rink, to our current home, the Allen Park ice rink, which is regarded as one of the best kept facilities and finest ice surfaces by many people and organizations throughout the tri-state area and Canada as well. Russ was always there, and not many people know the things he did, the time he made available, but he was always available to our organization for conference, for counsel and advice, and for a lot of help. His help in hosting invitational tournaments, 4 successive state championships, multiple special events with teams from Tours France, Quebec, and Ontario, and setting up Western New York coaching clinics in Jamestown is very much appreciated. The Pepsi tournaments and the state championships bring thousands of people to Jamestown every year, and our ability to host those activities would not have developed without Russ's assistance and concern. He's helped us develop to the point to where this year we're hosting 2 Pepsi tournaments in January and February, both of 4 days duration, and we're going to host 2 state tournaments this year, the 15-year-olds and the 17-year-olds on successive weekends in March. Lakers hockey is well known and respected in the youth hockey world, and Russ, you've always been a part of it. You have helped our program grow. You helped us with our beginner league, where we can now give all equipment to all the players, including their skates. Our house league, you helped expand to where we now have 3 different age levels offered. We've got 5 teams in the Western New York Amateur Hockey League in 5 different age groups. And we have a combined school district team for high school and junior varsity. All of these things Russ was a part of in one way or another, and not many people are very much aware of it. Russ, you should take great pride in your contributions to our organization and to all of the other groups to which you have so unselfishly given of yourself. Thank you for always being there and for just being you.
Now, on behalf of Babe Ruth, I'd like to introduce Larry Major. Larry?
Thank you, Greg. It's an honor for me to be up here to read a letter to Russ from his new boss, Ron Tellis. And also, Russ, I want to thank you for your secretary. The boss says, "Dear Russ, congratulations on the dinner being held this evening in your honor. You are certainly most deserving of this recognition. Russ, I can remember, like yesterday, when our relationship began at a regional meeting in Lakewood, New York. Just think, the start of that relationship has led to Jamestown hosting, under your strong leadership, 6 World Series. The success of the World Series led to Jamestown being named in 1986 the first World Series training center. Finally, in 1991, again through your hard work, Babe Ruth League Incorporated opened an office in the city of Jamestown. The final icing on the cake was made when you joined our executive staff as a full-time employee. Russ, enjoy the evening held in your honor, as again, you are most deserving of it. In closing, on behalf of the Board of Directors of Babe Ruth League Incorporated and all of your fellow employees at Babe Ruth Baseball, Softball, congratulations, and we are pleased to have you as a team member. Warmest regards, Ron Telson.
Now, on behalf of the VFW, I'd like to introduce Joe Calla. Joe?
Thank you, Greg. Larry Majors and Chuck Telford told me to make it short, so I will do that. Russ, for many years I've ran into you downtown with Lions Club and other organizations, but tonight I'm here on behalf of the Jamestown Veterans. I'd like to present to you this plaque in deep appreciation for many services rendered to the John W. Tiffany Post 53 Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know it's got to go a little bit higher for the next guy that's coming up. You may not know this, but at 10 o'clock, I think it's 10 o'clock every day, if you call formerly the Parks and Recreation Office, and now, of course, the Babe Ruth headquarters, and ask for Russ, you won't find him. He will not be there. He has an appointment that he makes every day without, I don't think there's any reason that he would not make it. Over here is a good representation of the club that they're known tonight anyway as the Coffee Club. I've heard various other terms used for it. And speaking on behalf of this club is Paul Sullivan. Paul, come forward.
I don't know why I always follow the short fella, because I'm usually way down here. But I represent the 10 o'clock Coffee Club, who is a group of younger fellas. I'm one of the youngest, so that shows you how young they are. That's been meeting for about 40 years. And a few years ago, one of our members noticed Russell off in a corner with nothing to do, believe it or not, and we invited him in to help us solve the problems of the world, which we do every morning. And believe me, he took care of it in 10 minutes. We take hours to do this, but Russell could do it in 10 minutes because that's the only time that, Lou, that the city would give him off. 10-minute coffee break. Now that he's retired from the city, this year we invited him to go on a fishing trip. And just to show you how grateful he was, he caught the most fish, made the most money, and I think had the most fun of any of us. But we loved having him. Russell, I just want to say that to us, you are the epitome of the individual who thinks of others' needs and wants before his own. Russell, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for sharing it.
Thanks, Bob. Now I'm proud to introduce a gentleman who's been around sports for an awful long period of time in Jamestown, Pete Hubble from WJTF. Pete?
Thank you, Sergeant Major Peterson. I can't wait until you get down to number 17 and limit Roselli to 2 to 3 minutes.
Me neither.
Greg focused in his opening remarks on two words that meant something to me sitting here tonight. One was impact on his life, impact on my life. The other was opportunity. And Larry's referred to the opportunity that Russ has given him to meet Bonnie, and Larry, you sure got the best of that deal. But also, Bonnie, Russ has given you the opportunity to run the City Parks and Recreation Department for 22 years. The opportunity that, well, just comes to mind to me, 99 play-by-play World Series broadcasts on the Babe Ruth level, and without him, obviously, it wouldn't have been possible for me. Just so many wonderful experiences. 25 years ago, when I first came here, Russ organized a kind of an introductory meeting in which all the area high school coaches, athletic directors, and sports personalities were there, and he invited me as a special guest just as a welcome to Jamestown, and I've loved it ever since, believe me. It's through this guy that all things happen around this town, believe me. My wife Mary and I are just here, Russ, to say thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, Russ, of course, has been intimately involved in professional baseball in our area, going back an awful long ways. And our most recent, but certainly tenant at the College Stadium, and one that's been with us, I think, 17 years. And Russ was instrumental in negotiating the actual sale of franchise and bringing the Montreal Expos into Jamestown so many years ago. And tonight we're pleased to have the general manager of the Jamestown Expos. We hope Montreal someday, right, Tom? Tom O'Reilly. Tom?
You should have had me on after Joe Callan. I came to Jamestown in 1989. I've probably known Russ the least amount of time than virtually everyone in this room. When I got the job, it was a little scary. It was in March, didn't have a lot of time to put things together. It was my first general manager job. When I talked to Montreal on the phone before I got to Jamestown, they said the first thing that you have to do when you get to Jamestown is to look up Russ Diethrick and to talk to Russ Diethrick. They said the most important thing you can do in the beginning is to have him on your side and develop a relationship with Russ Diethrick. And I did just that, and they were right. We've all gone over how important Russ is, and I don't know if there's a project, save maybe Babe Ruth, where Russ has had more impact in the city of Jamestown. Minor league baseball has been here for a while, and it's because of the efforts of Russ Diethrick that it's here. It's such a beautiful facility. I've been I've been in other minor league parks. I've worked for a few as an assistant general manager. And believe me, small communities that have had minor league baseball for a while, their facilities are run down. Most of them are. And when I got this job in Jamestown, I had to look it up on the map. It was a small town, all right, and I was like, uh-oh, well, let's see what this park is like. And when I got here, I couldn't believe it. And I understand through the years that it is through the efforts of Russ and, of course, others, but he bears the main responsibility for it. And over the past few years, I've come to see what he means to Jamestown. He's absolutely unbelievable. And Russ, I don't have a plaque for you, but I have a bat, and it kind of symbolizes what you've done for minor league baseball. You've really gone to bat for us over the years, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
What's this? Wait a minute. This isn't on the program. Folks, I apologize. why you got rid of me, didn't you?
Yes. Thought I had a key to the door.
They didn't lock the door tonight. They let me in. For those of you who don't know who I am, through previous engagements, Mr. Diethrick had a son. And if you think Roselli's going to be long,
I want to hear this.
you people make me sick. You're making him out to be some sort of god. Well, I'm here to straighten things out.
Where's Harry Smith?
About 10 years ago, he had a 50th anniversary birthday, right? And I showed up then.
That's when it really got white.
I want you to know right now that the reason, it's a vicious rumor, it's a real vicious rumor, speaking about his white hair, that Jack Fulford did this to him. He didn't do that to him. That's just a rumor. You go from one cushy job to the other, don't you? You think that's funny, don't you, Hoisington? Do you know the real reason why Babe Ruth Baseball hired Russ Diethrick? Ron Tellison, the president of Babe Ruth Baseball, got tired of being outspoke by him at meetings. And that's the truth. It was like dueling banjos. He'd get up for a meeting. This is Mr. Tellison. Tellison would start talking. Russ would say, by the way. And that was it. We were gone. It's almost as bad as Alstrom and Lombardo at council meetings. The man just doesn't shut up. You ever been downtown? You sit there and say, hi, Russ, how you doing? Half hour later, you're still not sure. Ever tried to talk to him downtown? You sit there and you say, hi, Russ, how are you? One old lady comes up, hi, Russ, how are you? The old man comes up, hello, Russ, how are you? Everybody comes up and says, hi, Russ. You're still not sure if you're talking to him or not. You're just part of a big crowd that came down there. The first time I heard the man speak, I was sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, this guy is really good. Eloquent, uses all the right words, the whole 9 yards. He even has a little bit of magic with him. You know, you sit there and you know when Tinkerbell comes on, those Peter Pan movies, you hear that little jingling sound? I'm listening to him speak and I'm waiting for Santa Claus to come out because I hear the shing, 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 shing. Let me tell you a secret. When he's got change in his pocket, that's what it is. He's playing with the change in his pocket. Let me tell you another secret. The Babe Ruth World Series Committee knows that. If he's got $1.75 or more in his pocket, it's worth at least 45 minutes of speech. And that's the truth. What Bonnie has found, and also Chuck Tilford has found, if you go up to him before a speech and ask him for change for $1, the speech is a lot shorter. Now, I promised the mayor I wouldn't tell you this, but I've got to tell you this. But he told me that the staff meetings now are at least 35 minutes shorter. He's never lost for words. Yeah, I remember one time. We were going, remember the night it was really snowing and we were going up to, see, he lets me ride in the car, but I have to sit in the car. I can't go inside with him. So we were going to the volunteer firemen to give them a little plaque for all their work with the Babe Ruth World Series. It's the Chautauqua County Volunteer Firemen. They do a tremendous job for the World Series. So Russ says, sit in here. It was really icy and snowy. Sit in the car. He took the keys with him, so now I have to sit in a cold car. And he's inside for another 45 minutes because he had about $1.75 worth of change. He's inside and he's talking to him. So we get out, we get in the car, we're going down a road. This cat runs out and he hits the cat, kills the cat. The cat's dismayed. Russ is just devastated. You know, oh my gosh, what did I do? So he goes up to the house, and he knocks on the door, and the woman comes out, and he can't speak. I mean, he's just utterly gone. He can't speak. He says, the woman says, what? He goes, so the woman says, you're trying to tell me that you hit something? An animal? So Russ looks at her. She looks at him and says, well, my dog Rufus, where's Rufus? Rufus! Rufus comes trotting out. Okay. It's not Rufus. Looks out in the pasture, there's 2 cows, so it can't be the cows. My cat, Millie. Did you hit a cat? Yeah, no. Well, what'd the cat look like? No. After you hit it. The man was speechless. Have you ever gone with them down to the Jamestown Hotel when they have the meeting of some of the older people in town? I mean, you think the Pope came for tea. There's Russ. Hi, Russ. He goes in and he kisses every woman in the spot. Makes you sick. For that fact, have you ever seen him in any woman, any room with women in it? He always kisses the pretty ones. He's a big cheap shot artist. Watch him. Is there any woman in here that hasn't been kissed by Russ? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. If there isn't, over here on my left, the mayor will be taking $1 per kiss, and it's going to go to the Jamestown General Hospital Fund. Who's the baby? How many of you got invited to the wedding or the reception? Raise your hands. How many got invited? Yeah, this table would, yeah. After watching you people eat tonight, I know why he didn't invite any of you. The bill must have been, or would have been. I don't know what you're laughing at, Mom. I can call you Mom, you know. Yeah. I'll explain that to you later. Yeah. Down at the Jamestown Hotel, there's a little box that all the old ladies are putting $1 in each day. And that's so they can hire some old guy named Bruno to take you on a ride. And you're not coming back. He's a ladies' man. Everybody's sitting here making him out like he's not, but I'm telling you right now, he's a ladies' man. He and I took a trip to Florida. He's got to get me out of the state, see, before he'll associate with me. So we're on a plane. He fights with me for a half hour because he wants to sit next to the seat, next to the window. So I said, fine, I'll take the center seat. I don't care. So this nice-looking young lady comes in and sits down in the aisle seat. Now all of a sudden, he wants the center seat. I'm tired. I'll sleep. You have a good time. So we switched. So the woman is sitting there reading a book. Now stick with me on this, folks, because I had to clean this up a little bit, okay? And the title of the book is History of the North American Male Reproductive System. Okay? Now, Russ, being the speaker that he is, he's sitting there and he's talking to her back and forth and everything, making all sorts of eye contact. You know that eye contact you gotta make? And he says, that's an interesting book you have there. What's all about that book? I don't understand. How could you write a history about something like that? And she said, it's very interesting. For example, the American Indian, the first native, he was known for his great length. And the Irish were known for their great dimension, great thickness. And Russ is talking back and forth with her, and they're very serious, you know? And I can see that, well, the old guy still got it, you know, so I'm getting pretty proud. So I look at him, and he says to her, what's your name? She goes, my name is Millie Johnson. She says, what's your name? He says, Tonto O'Reilly. Got away with that one, didn't I? I want you to know that I had to rewrite that one 5 times to get by Bonnie. We got some telegrams. First telegram came with a package. This is for you. It says, Dear Russ, stop. We are all very happy to hear about your new job and position with Babe Ruth Baseball. Stop. Those are handcuffs, by the way. Millie sends you the handcuffs back. She said she heard you were married and thought your new wife could use them more than she could. Stop. Agnes said that she's not going to return the silver spurs you used the last time you were in town. Stop. She will sell them to get the money to pay for the emergency room due to you being overly aggressive. Stop. Madam Julie says that since you're now married, you'll have to start paying like the rest of. Stop. She is willing to give you a senior citizen's discount. Best wishes, the girls from the Mustang Ranch. Oh, this is nice. You should keep this one in your memos. This is a nice one. Here it says, Dear Russ, stop. Due to circumstances beyond my control, I will not be able to come to your dinner. Stop. My brother, Midsize, I guess that's the brother's name, had the great idea of just hanging out in Florida, and I guess they just can't take a joke down here. Stop. Offhand, I can't tell you how long I will be here. Stop. Best wishes, Pee Wee Herman. I can't believe I got the guts to do this, folks. I mean, just stay with me here. Have you ever noticed the man never sweats? You ever noticed this? I mean, I've gone down by his house, and he's mowing his lawn in his shirt and his tie. Babe Ruth Baseball has a big parade. 110 degrees out there, he's in his shirt. Does not sweat. Yeah, he did that one time. We went hunting one time. You know, he usually stays up late at night, and I usually go to bed early, so I said, what time do you want to get up to go get to the deer or whatever? And he said, well, whatever time you want to, I don't care. And so I got up about 9 o'clock because that seemed like a good time. Well, he was up earlier, I guess. So we were sitting, and I was looking out the window as I got up, and I saw this beautiful, beautiful buck. And then there was a doe hanging next to it, and then there was a bear. And so he's sitting there, and we're admiring his work. I said, well, we got enough meat for the next 20 years, so I don't have to go out. Well, this game warden comes up and says to Russ, hey, can I go look at your tags? He looks at the tags and everything. He says, you know, you must be a pretty good shot. And Russ says, yeah, I got them all with one shot. Just one shot. Each one of them, one shot. The game warden says, well, I can see that you got the buck right between the eyes. That was a great shot. And the doe, you shot him just a little bit below the middle. That was a great shot. But you're lying to me because the bear has got a bullet hole in one paw and a bullet hole in the other paw, and then he's got one between the eyes. Russ says, I'm not lying to you. He said, when I took the flashlight and shined it on his eyes, he went like this, and then I shot him. So, I mean, he's... This is a true story. This next is a true story. He's not really a political person, all right? I mean, I guess you're what, you're a registered Republican? Yeah, okay. Never ran for mayor. Yeah, he would win on the old people's vote alone, let alone anything else. But I once asked him, I said, why don't you ever run for mayor? He says, why take a pay cut? He's a true Jamestowntonian. Is that a word? Jamestowntonian? He doesn't care about politics. He's really just for Jamestown. He walks the street. I'll watch him walk the streets, and he'll pick up litter and put them in the trash cans. I watch the mayor. He comes downtown. He's got his little plastic bag. He picks out pop cans and mutters something about Jamestown General Hospital. If you think that's funny, what neither one of them know is that Lombardo's going down about 3 o'clock with pop cans from Pennsylvania and putting them in there. Where's Doug Hoisington? I want you to know this gentleman right here is one of the biggest assets this town has. He's loyal. He's loyal. He knows his job. The people that work for him like him. He'll come to you and say, well, you know, you should have a tree in front. But listen to me, and this is the truth. He came to me and he says, Charlie, I said, I'd like a tree in front, but I don't want something that's going to really litter up the yard, you know, with seeds and stuff. So he says, I got the perfect thing for you. It's a seedless ash. A seedless ash. Well, here's a bag of the seedless ash that I got out of my ground this morning. This is yours. Here's Charlie Norris. Stand up. No, all the way up. Recognize this? Huh? You know what this is? This is the winner of the Charlie Norris Lookalike Contest. Yeah, this is my paycheck. I was wondering what that was. You know what would make this whole thing perfect? I mean, a perfect world for me. It really would. I'd just like to see him sweat once. Just once. I'd like to see him walk into the Jamestown Hotel just once and have the old lady, hey, there's Russ, you know, come up to him and say, have they come up to get their kisses because they know that he's going to kiss them off. I'd just like to have him come up and say, get lost. You know, have you had your shots today? Get a shave, get a life. You know, leave me alone. How about his hair? What are you going to do now that Bonnie's not there to make sure your hair's all right? Huh? You know, he gets his hair cut every Saturday. He comes in, picks out one hair. He says, here, please cut this. That's it. But I want you to know that there's something that the whole Diethrick family has had to live with through the years. We've all had this problem with the white hair. And this, like I said before, it's not really Fulford's fault. You know, it's one of the things I really like to hear sometimes. When he was working down there, to have Russ come up to Jack and say, Jack, no, you can't go play golf. Just once I'd like to hear that. But there's a secret, and I guess I'm going to have to tell him the secret. I know this is going to hurt you, but the secret is we're all really bald. Charlie Kent. Charlie Kent. You can imagine my job now. I've got to tell Jim Roselli it's 30 seconds. That's all you have left. Wow, Don Alstrom, 30 seconds. We're talking tough job. Clyde Card again. Lawyer, 30 seconds. Clyde Card's going to come now, make a presentation on behalf of Legal Services. Clyde?
If you think Charlie Kent was bad up here, I coach both of his sons in the Bambino League, and this guy is not only at every game, he's at every practice. I had to make him an assistant coach or die. Part of my life is working for Chautauqua County Legal Services. We're not connected with Chautauqua County government, but every once in a great while we become known to the general public for what we do and the people we have to deal with. Chautauqua County Legal Services is proud to present an award of distinction to Russell E. Diethrick. Chautauqua County Legal Services is a field project of the Legal Services Corporation, which is a national not-for-profit corporation created by an act of Congress to provide free legal services for the poor, the elderly, the disabled, and children in certain types of civil law cases. Chautauqua County Legal Services has handled approximately 16,000 cases since its incorporation on February 26, 1968. The governing body of legal services is its board of directors, which is comprised of local attorneys, community leaders, and client members. The board of directors oversees the general operation of the program, directing the course the office takes in the provision of legal services to the needy. One of the original signers of the Article of Incorporation on February 26, 1968 was Russell E. Diethrick. He has served with distinction as a board member and as an officer for 21 years. No one outside of legal services can be aware of his many contributions to this law firm, to its growth and its development, and to its service to the client-eligible population in Chautauqua County. However, thousands of the poor, the elderly, and the disabled receive legal assistance of highly significant impact on their lives due to the work of legal services representatives and board members such as Russell Diethrick. His contributions in 21 years of service on the board of directors were meaningful and highly significant. All of us at Legal Services sincerely wish him continued success and happiness in the future.
Now, on behalf of the Downtown Jamestown Development Corporation, its Executive Director, Mark Nelson.
Good evening. I, like many of you, have had the opportunity to work with Russ Diethrick. His moral support and helping hand in so many of our committees and events have been contributing ingredients for their success, us over the edge. To honor Russ, it is the privilege of the DJDC, with the assistance of the Chautauqua Region Community Foundation, to create a special interest fund through the Community Foundation to be known as the Russ Diethrick Fund. Each fund award will assist and encourage organization and project sponsors whose efforts reflect the community pride and the enthusiasm demonstrated by Russ Diethrick, both past and present. In making the award, the committee will take into account Russ's broad perspective of community assistance and the fact that he has never narrowly focused on one community activity nor age group. All will be welcome to contribute to this fund. Russ, through these efforts, we hope that you will be able to witness ongoing accomplishments similar to those that you have worked so hard toward. Your never-ending drive to cultivate a better quality of life for everyone in the community will have an infinite impact for generations to come. On behalf of Downtown Jamestown Development Corporation, thank you for making a difference to so many people in so many ways.
Sure. Gene, you got something? Oh my gosh. This is Gene Keppel. Gene, what do you got?
Me and I work for the United States Post Office. We've got one of those stories for you. You've probably read in the paper now and then about a letter getting delivered about 20 years late. Well, we've got one here. And it's from the Jamestown Furniture City Baseball Incorporated. And I know this is old. I've worked there 25 years and I've never seen this address. Russ, you might want to open this up and let us know what's in here. It's kind of interesting.
Yes, that's, we shouldn't talk about that. We shouldn't talk about that.
Right. Congratulations.
Put that in the fund.
It's in case you wondered why Russ sold the Expos franchise, there's a few extra bucks left over. And here's a check for the balance of the funds that were lying in it, made payable to Russ Diethrick Jr. And I can see why he was still working for the city. This is for the leftovers. It was $1 million check, ironically signed by Russ, purportedly signed by Russ to Russ. Boy, I'm glad we found that one. Thanks, Gene. Now I'd like to introduce one of the brainchilds of tonight's event, who has a lot of stories, but I've got to limit him to less than 2 minutes, and if I can do that to Chuck D'Angelo, I can do that to anybody. Chuck D'Angelo.
In the 60s, with many of you, I remember important statistics in my life were how many park benches I could squeeze into the tunnel at the Elm Park Gully. But in 1973, I was a graduate of the Russell Diethrick High School. You may know Russ Diethrick High School graduated thousands of us, young people, ages 14 to 20 over the last 33 plus years. As a student of Russ Diethrick High School, I directed various youth employment programs. You may recall Project Yes, STEP, JNP. Other students of the Russ Diethrick High School worked for the summer playgrounds and the summer parks programs. Yes, Russ Diethrick gave me and thousands of other Jamestown youth a hand up when we needed it. I will always remember Russ for his help when I needed it the most. Good role models are very tough to find when you're a teenager. Russ taught me the most valuable lesson of all. That is the standard by which he has lived his life. To lead by example. Thank you for everything, Russ.
Thanks, Chuck. Now I'm pleased to introduce a man who absolutely needs no introduction, and in fact I'm now really intimidated by the fact of having Russ Diethrick on my right and Jim Roselli on my left. What am I doing here? Jim Roselli.
I want you to know Joe Keller was standing on a table up here. I want to let you know that WJTN is very professional. This is being recorded by one of our newsmen so that we can put it on the news later tonight and all day tomorrow. and Terry Frank is covering it from the news department. And I'd like you, Terry Frank, to stand up and show you his back. Wall, 1340 on the dial. That happens to be a station he worked for in Middletown, New York. Oh, thank you, Terry. Yeah, we haven't got expenses for jackets yet at WJTN. You know, I brought a speech. I'm not going to use it. I think those words have been said by everybody. I thought they might be fresh and new, but they're not. Am my 2 minutes up? You talk about a man impacting your life and impacting my career. It's Russ Diethrick, but he impacted it more than just career-wise. It's interesting how it has turned out. Russ has given the microphone that I use a chance to go many places and do many things. I've been privileged to do the Easter egg hunt for how many years, Russ?
All of them.
All of them? Thank you.
You brought the bunny with you.
Babe Ruth World Series. Pete talked about doing 99 play-by-play games. I've done 99 color assignments between innings. What a privilege to be in the stands of the Babe Ruth World Series and interview the people from all over the nation. And folks, it's an opportunity for you to learn how much they love our town, how much they love you because of your hospitality. I can relate to you many stories of many parents who have said to me, my son does not want to go back home. He wants to stay with his adopted family. And we don't believe the hospitality of this town. It's unreal. They've gone to tournaments to get to this stage, but they have never seen the hospitality Jamestown provides it. Thanks to Russ Diethrick. But let me go back and do one quick story of a remote, an on-location show that I used to do in Brooklyn Square. We used to do a show for the merchants in Brooklyn Square. And I was sitting in my mobile unit doing my afternoon show. And a gentleman came up to me and wanted to sell me a pen. And it was a pen in order to raise money to get lights for Bergman Park so that games can be played at night. And I bought one. And I watched him, and he circled the square and tried to get everybody to buy a pen. I did some more remotes, and again he would come and urge me to buy another pen so that the fun would increase and eventually we would have lights for Bergman Park. It's interesting how life treats you and how fate is. That man happened to be Andy Bilgren, the late Andy Bilgren, who worked hard. I could have brought a plaque tonight which recognized his work, his devotion for that effort from the City Parks and Recreation Department. It was awarded to him in 1969. This is also a pen that he sold in 1971, trying to raise money for lights at Bergman Park. It so happens that later in life, his daughter comes to work at WJTN Radio. I happen to be an in-between stage in my life, and we get together. And I happen to marry the daughter of Andy Bilgren. Kathy, stand up. Take a bow. That's the impact, Russ. Russ, I can only conclude by saying something I read the other day, which is so appropriate for you. You will not be succeeded, but you will be followed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. I have the privilege of introducing the mayor of the city of Jamestown, Don Alstrom. Mayor Alstrom.
Thank you, Greg. I would just like to take a few minutes of your time to relate you folks this evening how and when I first met Russ Diethrick. And without fear of giving our age, they've already announced yours, Russ. But back in the 50s, I was an inexperienced fledgling umpire. I happened to draw a Muni League game between the Bombers and the Rollers. And those of you that are old enough, if you remember the players of that time, they could strike fear in the heart of the noblest and the boldest. As a young umpire, as an umpire's will, I made a few bad calls. And it was a very, very, very difficult evening. After the game, this white-haired gentleman, who I did not know, came to me with some words of kindness and encouragement. From that point forth, I said, what a fine gentleman that this man is. I've always remembered Russ Diethrick from that day forth. And over the years, as our paths have crossed, he has done nothing but give me every reason to add to my admiration and respect for the man. As the mayor of this city over the last 18 months, the culmination of that respect I found to be true because I had the privilege of working with Russ Diethrick on a daily basis. And ladies and gentlemen, he is all that you say that he is. Russ, Jamestown would not be what it is today without you. As far as I'm concerned, you are the epitome of a gentleman, and in fact, with no reservation, you are the finest gentleman that I've ever had the privilege of knowing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce Paul Lombardo on behalf of the Jamestown High School Baseball. Paul?
Unlike the other member of the Lombardo clan, I'm not running for election, so I will keep to 2 minutes. I've had many different avenues crossed by Russ Diethrick. Number one, when I was a young boy, I was the pain in the neck in the playground, and Russ never gave up on me. You know, he kept allowing me back in the playground and said, stick with the kid, and maybe he'll do something. I hope that I have through his influence. My family has been touched by Russ because we have been host parents in 4 of the 6 World Series, and it's an experience that we will never forget and something that we will continue to do. Third, as member of the Jamestown High School baseball team, there has never been a time when Russ has said no to us. We've come up with I don't know how many new projects and new ideas, and one of the things that we've learned over the years is go to Russ first, because once you do that and you get his backing, it's just a piece of cake after that. A few years back, we made Russ an honorary member of our program, but we did it only in front of our group at one of our banquets. I would like to publicly do that now. And the first thing that we'd like to present to Russ is a Jamestown High School baseball cap. And I know that he can't wear it, but going along with the cap, we thought that a Jamestown High School jersey would look nice on his wall.
Thank you, Paul. Now I'm privileged to introduce Bob Sundell. Bob has a presentation.
Russ, on behalf of the Commission on Parks, Recreation, and Conservation for the City of Jamestown, gives me a great deal of pleasure to congratulate you and thank you for all the work that you've done in the past, for the current commissioners and past commissioners in making our work easier, making the work of the commission go more smoothly. Everyone in Jamestown and the Jamestown area benefits from this. We congratulate you, Russ, on your new job. We hope that you will continue to share your dreams with us.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. I hope this is the dirt part of it. Also happens to be a person probably most inspirational in having this evening occur tonight. And also the gal Friday, and you've heard an awful lot about her, Bonnie Major. Bonnie?
Russ and I have many memories that go back beginning in the mid-60s at College Stadium. Some of the long hours that were spent there, we enjoyed. Some people, including the trainer Jerry Klein, who always had a pocket full of bubble gum, Marty Haynes, Eric Gogan, Dr. Homeland, Lou Shepard, names that most of you don't know, but Russ and I will always remember. Managers like Harry Dorish, Jack Jensen, Jackie Moore. The near riots we had at the stadium when an umpire blew a call. What Max Patcan, the baseball clown, really looked like. And staying up in the morning at the end of the season so that we could pay the ball players their travel money so they could go home. Then my first job working for the Parks and Recreation Department when our offices were in the school administration building. I typed on a manual typewriter at a 2-by-3-foot wooden desk on a wooden chair. Shortly after that, I'm glad to say the new City Hall was opened. I received my own desk and an electric typewriter. Over the years, we've faced many adventures together, including the renovation of College Stadium, the visit of King Gustav of Sweden in the pouring rain, the many baby parades, the collapse of the Allen Park ice rink structure during a heavy storm, and all of the boss night dinners, where I was lucky enough to have two bosses, both Russ and Jack. And once upon a time, a group of us, after the dinner, decided to go out for breakfast at the Chanticleer Diner at 3 a.m. Sound familiar, Donna? That whirlwind weekend at the Thousand Islands when you were named New York State Boss of the Year and forced to attend a banquet of 400 women and you the only man. Russ, you've helped me, my brother Wayne, and my entire family during the sudden loss of my mom and the long battle that my dad fought against Lou Gehrig's disease. Words can never express our thoughts to you. The realization of Chautauqua Park, the tremendous growth of Bergman Park, and now the rebirth of the boat landing. The many Easter egg hunts, whether we were freezing in the snow, getting wet in the rain, or shielding ourselves from the heat. And what about those two little girls I would bring with me? Those same two girls helped blow up all these balloons this afternoon in the gym. Yes, time sure flies by. The very successful Labor Day festivals, the snow sliding carnivals at Stadium Hill, soapbox derbies, the lighting of the Christmas tree, the Halloween Fun Fest, Boy Scout Government Day, the World Series of Cars, Sports Hall of Fame, and for 10 years being named Tree City, USA. And that crazy idea that was developed in 1979, and my question to you then was, what is a Babe Ruth World Series, and what does the Princess Committee do? Russ, thanks to your ever-creative and ongoing ideas, the first Babe Ruth 13-year-old World Series was held in Jamestown in 1980. And also as a result of the original idea to host a World Series. In the spring of 1984, I met a very special man from Miami, Florida. And as most of you know, he moved up here in March of '85, and we were married on May 11th, 1985. And Russ, you were part of a bridal party that evening. Jamestown continued to host World Series in 1981, 1984, 1985, 1987, and 1990 under your leadership and guidance. And now it's up to us to prove to you, Russ, that we really were learning from all those years, and as a tribute to you, Russ, on behalf of my fellow board members, We would like to announce that the 1992 Babe Ruth 16 to 18-year-old World Series will be dedicated to you as our way of saying thank you on behalf of not only your friends in Jamestown and Chautauqua County, but for all of those thousands of people who have visited Jamestown and felt your warmth and friendship. As I close, I am happy to say that my long friendship with both you and June will continue to grow and be a part of both mine and Larry's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Babe Ruth World Series. It's quite an announcement. What do we have here? Well, another one that's not on the program. I hope this isn't a relation of yours. Can't take any more surprises. What is this? Come right up. Please do. I bet this will take less than 12 minutes. Bunny's a little shy, but on behalf of the thousands and thousands of children in Jamestown who have enjoyed the Easter egg hunts over the years, we'd like to say thank you. Suppose I can hold that later? As you know, the proceeds from tonight's activities go to the World Series, or go to the Babe Ruth World Series. And tonight I'd like to present to Russ a special check for all that you folks have done for tonight's. And so Russ, if you'd step forward. On behalf of, we have as a check here for the Russ Diethrick dinner, paid to order the Babe Ruth World Series from your friends, and it's made in the amount of $3,200, which will go towards the Babe Ruth World Series. Thank you very much. Thank you. Before I bring up Russ, I'm sure you had an opportunity to read an awful lot of the letters that were over there against the bleachers, but one caught my eye, and I just want to read the last paragraph because it did the best to sum up my feelings, and I'm sure the feelings of everybody here. Russ, I know you are the one to be honored tonight, but in a real sense, it is not you who is honored, it is we. We are honored to be allowed to share this occasion with you. We are honored to have been a part of such an exemplary life. We are honored to have known such a man as you. And that's heartfelt from an awful lot of folks here today. Russ Diethrick. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to the microphone Russ Diethrick at this time.
Thank you, folks. I would say you could quit clapping, but I'd allow you to let you stand a little longer if you'd like. Somebody said something about the mind in the seat, and you might want to stand. Before the clock goes much farther, I'm going to take $1.83 out of my pocket. I've told you folks over the years that see what could happen If all of you would not say that you wanted to do the work, you could be standing up here tonight like I am, having sat here and heard all of these things about you and stand at this podium to say thank you to so many people. To you as a single individual in the room tonight and to thousands of others that are not with us, it's been the result of the work that you people have been doing in this community over the years that allows the things to be said tonight about me and allow me to stand here with you. You know, I like and I enjoy history, and when I think about history and we think about and look at our community, a lot of the things that we enjoy and make the community great and allow a person like myself to go in and around about the confines of our community and to do things with you is because we have that rich history. We've all in this room tonight have just taken a small flicker of history and enjoyed it tonight. The results of that would be disheartening, I guess, to all of us if it ended here tonight. I would hope and I feel confident all of you who have worked so very hard on all of these projects and all of the things that we've talked about are going to leave here tonight and continue to do the things that you're doing. Because I know that back in 1958 there was a little brown-haired, dark-haired boy standing peeking through a backstop at Lincoln Park that Jim Sharp and others said, yes, he can come and be part of our program and be part of our activities. There's a young man or a young lady standing out in this community tonight looking around the corner of a backstop or being part of an Easter egg hunt or being part of a senior citizen activity that someday in the very near future will be standing here tonight saying thank you to a community. This is a community that is proud of itself and a community that means things to itself. And it goes out and it takes a look at the things that need to be done and the things that should be done in the community to make life better for everybody. And they allow everybody to get on the bandwagon and to be part of that. And you people are part of that crowd that's on that bandwagon because you have been part of the things that have been good for our community. And the thing that I'm so touched about tonight is that June has said for a long time we need a bigger house, and it's got to be bigger after tonight. But the size not of our house is what is important. It's the size of the heart of June and my heart and the heart of my sister and the other members of our family that will absorb everything you do tonight, and the walls of our heart will expand to take it all in. As I said at one other time, I've been the benefactor of many, many gifts and many, many presents, but it's what inside that box or inside that wrapping is not what is important, but it's how it's wrapped and who wraps it and who presents it to you. That's the thing that means so very, very much to me and has over my life. Because the things inside of many of those packages just a few short months ago are no longer with me and no longer for me to touch, no longer for me to look at. But the packaging and the wrapping and the way it was presented to me, those gifts will last forever, and I'll never lose them. They cannot take that away from me. And tonight you have done part of that. To allow me to be part of your children's life, the most precious thing that you have, and you confidently send it to the playgrounds and the ball fields and into the programs of our community. Allow me to be part of that. The most precious thing to our community is our grandparents. And for you to allow me to be part of the senior citizen activities and the growth and develop them over the years, know it meant so much for you to allow me to share your mother and father, your grandmother and grandfather, and allow me to hug them and be part of them at the senior citizen activities and the programs. And for me, a chance to grow by being part of those. For somebody that struggled his way through grade school and through high school in Jamestown, and to be touched by the educators of this community in those years and the years after, it's been a rewarding time for me and a time for growth and development for me. You didn't allow me to walk out of high school on that last day and be forgotten. You've been part of my life, and all of you have been part of that ever since have been part of my life. For a ball player that carried nothing but water to the ball field and went home at night and had his mother patiently pick the splinters out, to be part of your championship teams and to be part of your championship leagues and to be part of those programs, when I could play and I could go home at night and on my playground brag about the fact that I was playing ball and I was in the dugout with some of you folks. That's something they can never take away from me. When one of the first perks that I took off the city job was that opportunity to go drink coffee. And I used to use that. I used to tell Doug Hoyington, come on, we're allowed to go take a break to go drink coffee, whether it be 5 minutes or 5 hours, and we used to use that for work time. And I used to give to Doug Hoyington a list or at least the dreams that I had of things we'd like to do in the community. And after about 4 or 5 coffee breaks, we didn't have to go back anymore because Doug had taken care of all those things, he and Bonnie and Jack and others, and had taken care of all that wish list. And it was then when I was sitting in that corner drinking coffee by myself that my dear friend said, come over and join us at our table. and they've come into my life, and I'm proud and pleased that they let me into their life during that time. One of the nice things about my new job description, and it's in print, it's in the Post-Journal, is that I'm allowed and I'm supposed to go drink coffee at 10 o'clock every morning. And the other nice, if I get too much acid from too much coffee, I'm supposed to go out in the afternoon and eat ice cream. And lo and behold, I do that. To Chuck and to Bonnie and to Greg and the others that worked so hard tonight to bring this together, to bring this program together tonight, to those people who have worked so hard throughout the years to allow me to walk in the front of the parade, to allow me to be out front. And they said, yes, you need leadership, but when I think of the role of leadership that I had to play, never a single time did I look over either shoulder that there was not a crowd right up tight behind me, and it was all of you, whether it be a senior citizen activity, whether it be something to do with the playgrounds, whether it be something to do with Babe Ruth baseball, just whatever it was in this community. Was it a new idea, was it a good idea, was it a bad idea, whatever it was, there was always somebody there to back me. For me to be part of bringing together the World Series of Cars, of which thousands of people enjoy now, not only from the work that they do, but the thousands of people that enjoy the World Series of Cars. The thousands of people that look for that Easter egg hunt is not because I was able to hide it, not because I was able to hide the other eggs, it's because the men of Sertoma and the Matthew Miller Athletic Club and the entire community was doing all of those things. It was not what I could do at the Senior Citizen Center and the Senior Citizen activities, because many of those were developed by a different vision of Jim Sharp and some of the other people in our community that have worked so very, very hard. My first Golden Age meeting, when my knees were trembling, when you couldn't have got me up here tonight with a shotgun if you had to. Jim Sharp said, go over to the Vikings, there'll only be 300 of them there. I said, like, God, don't tell me that. He says, and I'll meet you over there, he says, and we'll have a program, and we'll have some fun, and we'll have some coffee and cake. So I snuck over there, snuck in the back door as best I could of the Vikings, did not take the elevator, went up the back, and I stood back in the corner, and I waited, and I waited. The program was ready to start, and no Jim Sharp. Jim Sharp was over town laughing, I believe, about that time. But then come along a beautiful young lady, Dorothy Brooks, took me by the hand and said, we're going to have some fun, we're going to have some music, and we're going to have some dessert, and you're going to love everybody, and everybody's going to love you. So, Dorothy, thank you for that day, and you've been holding my hand ever since. God bless you. If you would allow me the time at this time when we gather or any other time, I could look in every one of your faces and tell a story, talk about something that means something to the community, something that means something to me, something that's good for you, and something that's been good for everybody else. And that's why we took great confidence when we started the Babe Ruth World Series. We knew very well that Jamestown, New York, and Chautauqua County would not disappoint our visitors, and that's why they keep coming back. That's why they want to be here. That's why the programs that were taught tonight are bigger and better and stronger, because it's the way that you people do it. It's the effort that you give to it. As been said, I've never yet had an opportunity for anybody to say to me no. No matter what the idea was, no matter what the activity was, you people were always ready to say yes to whatever we were doing, to a single individual. I hope that God gives June and I the time, and my sister the time, and the other members of our family, to repay you folks and to repay this community for what you've done for us. For a little boy out of the coal mines that come here with mother and father and sister back several years ago, to make our home here, to be loved in this community, to be part of this community, we look at it and we realize that because I'm called Junior is why we've been loved in this community, we've been loved on this earth. Mother and father took my sister and I and June and other friends of our family and shaped us and directed us in a way that they lived their lives. One of the nicest things that was said to me tonight over everything that's been said here fell only on my ears. Our neighbors, the Ericksons, said as they walked through the door and saw the side of my head that they took a quick look and a deep breath because they thought they saw my father standing in your midst. So if God would allow me forever to stand in your midst under the image and the vision that somebody would see my father and my mother standing next to my wife and my sister and my family, my night will be fulfilled forever. You have brought me to this point tonight. God bless you all, and thank you.
while I call Father Attia forward for the benediction, all I can say is thank you to a whole lot of people for making this night an extraordinary evening for me personally and for Russ. And this is just an extraordinary community event. And while I was preparing for tonight's program, I came across a quote which to me epitomizes Russ, and I just want to share with you. I believe it's probably a philosophy Russ has adopted over time. It goes, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and make a trail." And I think that to me is Russ Diethrick. Father Attia?
Really, what else is there to say? I say one thing. We hope it'll take a long time before the Pope canonizes you. Because you have to die first. Well, Russ, you've been blessed by a beautiful family, by beautiful friends, and we've been blessed by you. God has certainly blessed all of us through Russ and through so many other ways. So may God always bless you, Russ, bless your work, bless your new job. Bless all of us here in the city of Jamestown. May we continue to be the example of your love and your caring, not only in the recreation area, but in every endeavor that we pursue. God bless you. God bless all of us. God bless Jamestown. Amen.
Thank you and Godspeed.
There's something else. There's something else. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Greg?
Thank you.
Much good fortune to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Charlie?
Hey, Doug.